everyone, welcome to the Iron Rod Records YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a song. This is a really good song. This song's called Wake Me Up When September Ends by Green Day. And I chose this song to do next for a couple different reasons. First of all, I wanted to do a song that had some electric guitar in it as well as some acoustic guitar, so that I could kind of do a song that shows both sides of playing the two different types of guitar. This song is great for if you're a beginner because the chords in the song are very, very simple. Even the guitar solo in the song is probably one of the easiest guitar solos I know in any song. And so if you're just starting out on acoustic or electric, this is a great song to start to try to build up your abilities. So we'll go and get started. So if you haven't heard this song before, I encourage you to look it up as you're learning it. That'll make it a lot easier. So at the beginning of the song, it starts out with acoustic, and it does that for the first couple verses, and the first couple choruses, and then there's the first bridge that it also does that. So in the verses, there's this pretty simple riff that is on the acoustic. And the way that you're going to do this, it's based off the G chord, but it's not exactly the same. So you're going to have a finger on 5th fret on the 4th string, and then you have a finger on 3rd fret on the 2nd string. And then you're just going to play 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string in this order like this. And it does that 4 times for the intro of the song. Then it goes into the verse, and the verse can kind of be divided into 4 different little sections. And the first part is exactly the same. And then the next part, all you're going to do is you're going to move down to 4th fret on the 4th string. And then for the next part, you'll move down to 2nd fret on the 4th string. And then you'll just play an open 4th string. And so the way, as I've practiced this song multiple times, over and over and over, the way that I found is easiest is to use your 4th finger for that first chord. And then use your 3rd finger to come down to that 4th fret. And then I found, instead of continuing to slide down, it's best to completely take your hand off and then come back down with your 4th finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, and then bring your 2nd finger up to the 2nd fret of the 4th string. And then just pull your 2nd finger off for that last chord. So when you put all that together, it's going to sound like this. And that's what the verse will do for all the verses, even with the electric. And we'll go back over it when we switch back over to electric. So then when you get to the chorus, when it goes to the "Wake me up when September ends," you know, that part. There's a couple different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the way that I found sounds, what I believe is the best, what it sounds like to me in the song. And I believe that he uses a C bar chord, which is just like this. And if you look these chords up online, you'll be able to find the chord diagrams to help you to play them. But you'll just play it out. And then he switches to C minor. And then to G. And that G chord is actually an open chord. It's not the G bar chord like you would. So you have C bar chord, and then C minor bar chord, and then it goes to G open chord. And so when you put that together, it's going to sound like this. And then there's a verse right after that. Now, there's a transition into the bridge after one of the choruses. You're going to go like this. right after that, you're going to hit an F sharp on your G chord. So it'll be like, and then you hit an E on that 6th string down at the bottom. And basically you'll just switch into an E minor chord. And if you look up the tabs online for this, you can see the exact notes to play as far as finger picking or just picking with a pick. But I just kind of do it whichever way I want. My theory as far as playing a song is if it sounds good to you, then just leave it that way. I believe, you know, playing guitar especially is just about being creative. And if you find something that sounds better to you, then just go ahead and go with it. You know, sometimes it's important to follow what the, you know, exactly how they wrote the music. But, you know, if you want to get creative with it, then get creative with it. So the way I do this is I just go into an E minor chord and just kind of finger pick around with it, and then goes into B minor, and then C, and then goes back to G, and then you hit that F sharp again and go back down to E minor, and then go to B minor again, and then to C, and then you go to D, and after that D you'll come back to the verse riff that you have the. And then as you get through that, you'll come into the last chorus with the acoustic part, and then it'll come back to this. And then the drums come in with the acoustic guitar going a little bit, and that's when the electric will come in. And so the electric is basically the same as far as the verses are concerned. You'll just be able to play this little section the same. The only difference that you'll have, so the verses are exactly the same. When you get into the chorus, it's going to be 5th chords. So you'll go, so you'll finish that part in the verse where it goes. And then you go into a C5 chord, or a C5 chord. And then what you're going to do, this is a little tricky, not too bad. Basically, all you're going to do is you have that C5 chord. All you're going to do is add the C minor. You're almost playing a C minor bar chord, except you're just going to leave off that top note on the 1st string. And so it'll just sound like this. And so as you're playing, and then it'll go to a G5 chord. So as you're playing it, this is what it'll sound like. And then it goes back into the verse again. And then after the verse, you come back into the chorus and play that again. And this is a little tricky. If you haven't worked with power chords before, which is what I'm using, when I talk C5 chord, that's a C power chord, and that's what you're using mostly on electric guitar. So if you haven't learned those, that'd be something good to brush up on as you're learning this song. So the second chorus you come through, you're going to play that G5 chord. And as you're coming back into the bridge, this is a tricky chord here. It takes a little practice. This is essentially a G7th chord. What you're going to do is, this is how I do it anyway, is you bring down, you take off your 4th finger that you had there on the 5th fret on your 4th string, and you're going to bring down your 2nd finger instead, and bring that down onto the 4th fret of that same string. So if you're familiar with music theory, you'll know that this is your G, and this is your F sharp, and F sharp is the 7th of a G chord. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go down from G to F sharp, or the 2nd fret of your 6th string. And so essentially you're taking the G's in this chord and switching them to F sharps, and then you come down to your E minor, or E power chord, E5 chord. And so this is what it'll sound like. You'll come into the chorus like this. And So then it comes back into the bridge again. You would go to E5, and then B5, C5, and then the G, F, or G, G7, E minor again. E sharp, E5, B5, C5, and then D5. And then you come back into the verse again. And then you'll play the chorus again. And after the chorus comes the solo. So if you want to play the rhythm part of the solo, which is the guitar in the background playing power chords, it's exactly the same as the bridge, that G, G7, E, B, C, and G, etc. If you want to learn the solo, I'm going to go ahead and go through the solo real quick just because it's really simple. So basically your whole solo is going to be right up here in your 7th, 8th, and 10th frets on the first and second. First, second, and third string actually. So for the first part, you're going to be on 8th fret on the second string and 7th fret on the first string. And the whole solo is kind of built on that little riff there. The 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So it's a little tricky rhythm. You kind of have to think of it in those threes. It's like a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And if you think about it as 8 beats in a measure, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so that's kind of how you think about it in your mind as you're playing through it. And as you play it slowly to start, and once you get that pattern memorized in your head, you can speed it up to catch up with the song. So anyway, that's the first part right there. And then the next part, all you're going to do is you're going to come down, instead of on the 8th fret on the second string, you're going to come down to 7th fret on the second string. First string is exactly the same. Then what you're going to do is you're just going to move that whole thing up to 8th fret, so you have both fingers up on 8th fret now. And, sorry, I messed up. I'm sorry, I said that the solo had the third string in it. Just playing through it now, I realized it didn't. So it's just first and second string, so it's very simple. Anyway, so that's the first little section of the solo right there. Now this next part, it'll be 2 notes at the same time, and what it's going to be, I like to play this with my first finger on the second string and then my 4th finger on the first string. And what you're going to do is it's going to be 10th fret on the first string and then 8th fret on the second string, and you'll play 4 notes like that, and then you'll bring it down to 7th fret on the second string. And then it just goes back into this. And then at the very end, he just hits an open G on the 3rd string. And then the acoustic comes back in with that verse, with the verse riff again, as this note just holds out. So that is essentially all that's in the song. Most of it just repeats different times. The verses all played the same, choruses all played the same, bridge is played the same. It's just a matter of getting the hang of acoustic versus electric and then nailing down that solo. So I'll play through everything one more time real quick, and then I will also put a link in the video. In the video notes, I'll put a link to a tab that I really like to use for this song. So if you're into using guitar tabs and you're more of a visual learner in that aspect of it, then that'll be able to help you too. So I'll find a guitar tab I like for this song, and I'll go ahead and put it in the show notes. So here's the verse again.